Hi everyone, so I'm going to be looking at some of the Morphe products that I got during the Rouge bonus sale, or like 20% off these products. So I'm going to start with the highlight palette. So I have kind of used these products already, so it's not necessarily a first impression, but going in and swatching. So definitely I'm not the biggest fan of this highlight palette. Like, I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing out there. It did come with a brush, and that was my incentive, but the brush is kind of like not maybe the best quality. So like, because I would be someone who would like that kind of like white shade, and like it just isn't the greatest. I think some of those deeper shades are nicer, but they don't work for my skin tone, right? So I just kind of go in with that highlight, or sorry, like that bronzer shade, and try and use it. Right, we can clearly see like, oh, not really that color for me, right? Maybe if I had my tan, but I've gone back to being a pasty person. So I don't think it blends nice enough to kind of use it in there. So I think I'm gonna go into Get Laid, just because I find the bottom row a little bit better quality. So they're definitely like powdery. So it's just not like my preferred choice. Like, I don't know, it's like almost that like aloha, so it should be, I feel, a little bit more blinding highlight for your vacation, and it's just really like a subtle powdery highlight. So I'm not really liking that. And like, I've used it a couple times with different things, kind of going into vacation. Apply that on my nose. Like, maybe as a nose highlight, this palette works okay. But I just find like you just have to kind of like go over with another brush, because you just kind of get that glitter places. So this would be a pass for me. Nothing to the person who put that together. That's just their personal preference on what they like, not what I like. Going into this palette, so I've used it a couple times. I do think it lasts long. I think the downside is it doesn't layer that well. So I definitely think maybe save your money, go for their original Jaclyn Hill one. I kind of like that a little bit better. But if you guys have tried this palette and you think their other kind of ones are a little bit better, let me know in the comments, because I was just kind of disappointed with this. Just because I was really hoping it would layer on top of each other a little bit better, but like once you put on that one color, that's what you're stuck with, because I kind of did one of these red shades, but kind of changed up what shawl I was wearing to go to that purple. And like, no matter how much of this purple I applied on, that red just seeped its way back on to be front and center. And then like another thing, like looking at it, I should have kind of known, like, because if you see, like, some of them look a little light, but I think I need a little bit more light colors. I definitely didn't need 2 different kinds of blacks, right? Like, I'd like a little bit more light, right? So like a palette this size, I really feel like they should have like their black, yes, and then like a buffing white one to highlight and whatnot as a matte shade. But just kind of going into those colors, and like swatching them, they don't really swatch that well. So just looking at those swatches, like kind of what pulled me to it was those kind of green shades, and like basically those green shades is what really pulled me to this palette. And swatching them, wearing them. So wearing them, not good, basically. So definitely like swatching them, they swatch way worse than what they wear. Wearing them, you kind of just pick up that little bit of yellow shades, so they leave something to be desired with those green shades. Brown shades are kind of nice. Definitely this shade here is beautiful and I really like it, because it kind of comes off as that like greeny gold, which is really pretty, but I kind of wanted those greens to look nicer, so we can kind of see, like, look at that, like it's 4 different colors, right? So kind of that middle row, no real issues with it. Those oranges work nice, those browns work nice. Going into those purples, not so much. Definitely like this shade here, like looks like blue, like a denim shade. So some of those reds have a little bit of issues. So this palette doesn't swatch well. It definitely does better on your eyes than just swatching. So it's just something to be mindful of. If you're like, oh, this doesn't swatch nice. No, it doesn't swatch nice. But it applies nicer than how it swatches. So I like the whole concept of it, because I like to kind of do those funky eyes and whatnot colors instead of some of those traditional ones. But they don't necessarily work that well. So, and like, I think they had names, but I lost that little sheet. So that doesn't help. Like, it's maybe somewhere in a drawer, it falls out. So unless they're gonna keep it attached, but really you don't necessarily need it. So like those little like sheets to protect things, like I think it only kind of works when you have that mirror. But I'm just gonna kind of go into the shade right here, right, with my nice fluffy Morphe brush. So I definitely think like they're not a bad price, but if we can kind of see, like, they don't really wash well, and like you get these little hairs every which way. So I might try out some of their other brushes that don't have necessarily those white hairs. So I don't think, like, looks wise, it doesn't look that nice when the hairs are kind of going every which way, but I do think it works well of blending out that color without it looking patchy. So it does its job well. It just doesn't look that cute. And that was the M510, kind of just to show that difference of a brush I would typically use. Like this is more packed together, but if we see like not that much of a difference, so this one just looks a little bit more uniform. So it still does a good job of blending out that color. I'm gonna go in with this shade here and apply it a little tighter with my M441. This is kind of what I mean by it not layering that well. Like, did I put on a second color? Who really knows? So again, like this one isn't so bad, but some like, there's a little hair there. That's too long. Right, but it blends the color out nice. So I'm gonna go in with that shade that I really like there with M433. Okay, so they say this is an eyeshadow brush. No, it just kind of gets the product everywhere. So I'm just gonna use my finger. That's much better. So I did kind of get some fallout. And that's like another issue that I kind of have with this palette is with your fallout. Like if we just kind of go through, like if we can see that color difference, like your fallout doesn't just like wipe away. It does kind of stick on there. So do your eyes first, then the rest of your makeup after. And I'm just gonna kind of go in with that with an eyeshadow brush and kind of lighten up my inner corner. So it kind of does nothing. So you can't put anything like on top of these. It's just not gonna do anything. So definitely with the M433, I would just kind of use it as like a blending your like lid color with your eye color, like cleaning up lines. I wouldn't use it like, maybe use it as a blending brush because it's just too dispersed, right, for like an eyeshadow brush. So I'm just gonna go into this nice warm brown there. And then I'm going to kind of go in with that avocado green and apply it to my lower lash line, keeping it in tight. So I do kind of wish like it had a mirror. I guess that's like one of the ways they keep their costs down. So I do think it blends. So it doesn't layer well, but it like can blend out nicely. So if you like kind of go like, oh, I went too high, you can kind of really like buff it out and whatnot. And that, so definitely the more I use it, the more I don't mind it. Like when I first did it, I did it with those greens and I was like, ugh. So it does kind of take a little bit to know like what colors work well, how to kind of use them. Like it's not really versatile for kind of anyone. Some of the shades aren't that greatest, but like it's 30 bucks. So it's really not that bad of a price. Let me know if you picked up other palettes and you think they work a little bit better. Like I do like my Jaclyn Hill one for like, that one's a little bit more expensive, but I would like it like none of the colors really, like the colors layer and they're a little bit better than what come in these. The product that I definitely wouldn't recommend is this. This is absolute garbage. So the first time I kind of did my eyes, so this is probably like my third video trying to do this because I just felt like too negative. So if you think I'm negative in this one, ooh, the other ones, like I think maybe like this one might be nice for like a cut crease because like when it's more maybe like tacky, but it's just like, I just found it oily and it made things splotchy. So maybe I got a bad one, but I'll definitely see from people that I know, like, hey, do you want this? Because I'm probably not ever going to use it. Like, I'd recommend Urban Decay's over this one. Like, spend that little bit of extra money. It makes a huge difference, because like it was just bad. Like, it didn't let my eyeshadow last. I did it again with Urban Decay's. It lasted the full day. I did it without an eyeshadow primer. It lasted the full day. So definitely the Morphe eyeshadow primer, I would say, is a definite pass. I think the Artsy palette, so I think this is like Boss Mood, right? I definitely think like this one I might not recommend, because I think you would kind of get it because you like those green colors and some of those purple colors, and I don't think they're done well in this palette. So I'd say definitely try one with their reds and their browns, because I do think those worked nicer, and for the price point, you can't beat it, right? Of that $30, if you're getting those reds and those browns, kind of for those greens, it leaves something to be desired, especially for it being like kind of like an artsy palette. Like, I would expect things to kind of to layer on top of each other, right? And that the brushes aren't a bad price. I definitely want to try out like ones that don't have these white bristles, because like I find them a little ouchy. They're not as like soft and smooth as some other ones, but they work well with the Morphe products, of like taking them from when they didn't really swatch well to actually working well, and the product lasts. So for 30 bucks, like, you can't go wrong. Like, realistically, it's like $10 more than the drugstore, so you're looking at like 150%, a little bit more, right? So I would definitely say like this is probably going to be better than some of your drugstore stuff out there. Let me know in the comments below like what's a really good Morphe palette that you like, and like what's a nice brush. Like I do collect, like, these are all my blending brushes, and I slowly like collect things because I'm crazy. Yep. So I think like I would still try some different Morphe products. Probably wouldn't try their highlighters because it's not like the formula that I like. But I think I would try out some of their browns and red eyeshadow palettes to see if they're any better. Let me know in the comments below what do you think is a good palette to try out for them, as well as some makeup brushes, and like, is the Morphe primer actually good? Maybe I just got it done, because sometimes that happens. But I hope you guys all have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!